What if the buildings we see popping up on new skylines aren't just concrete and glass? What if they're telling a much, much deeper story about, say, a nation's vision, its growth? That whole idea, it's from a recent analysis by Malik Shaffy, and it really made me rethink urban development.
Yeah.
He puts it beautifully. These structures are a vision, a testament to stability, a tangible sign of growth. It makes you think, doesn't it? That where skylines are growing, especially maybe in places we overlook, there's something really profound happening.
It is a powerful way to frame it, isn't it? Shaffy's idea that real estate is more than property, that it sits right there, at the crossroads of policy, design, infrastructure, and the future. That really hits home. It's not just about putting up buildings. Now, you think about a place like Singapore, how it developed. Their real estate strategy wasn't just about selling land. It was this deliberate integrated government plan. It involved urban planning, transport networks, specific industry clusters, all designed very carefully to attract investment, attract talent. That whole connected ecosystem, that's the crossroads Shaffy is talking about, it's strategic, highly strategic.
That is a really crucial distinction. It shows there's so much more going on than just what you see on the surface. And speaking of cities that are maybe defying expectations, our deep dive today, it really focuses on the fascinating rise of real estate in Africa. Specifically, we're asking, why is Kigali in Rwanda being called, well, the smartest bet yet for investors? So our mission here is to dig into Shaffy's analysis in the New Times, find those real signals of opportunity and growth. We want to cut through any noise and give you the clear picture so you walk away really informed about what's happening in this dynamic part of the world.
Yeah, and to really get Kigali's appeal, you first need to see the bigger picture, the global context. Shaffy's article points to this pretty significant shift happening. You've got savvy investors increasingly looking beyond those saturated markets, London, New York, Hong Kong.
The usual suspects.
Exactly. And they're turning towards emerging opportunities across Africa. And this isn't just like a minor trend. It's driven by some really fundamental forces. You've got this convergence, a rapidly growing, incredibly young population. That means huge demand for housing, retail, offices.
Right. Demographics are key.
Absolutely. Plus, you have accelerating urbanization, big investments in infrastructure, roads, ports, digital connectivity. All that unlocks development. And add to that, in many countries, better governance, more economic diversification. It creates a much more stable, attractive climate for capital.
That's a really compelling macro view. It brings us right back to Shaffy's idea that real estate isn't just plots of land. It's this nexus point where policy meets design, infrastructure enables the future. So when you see a new building, it's not just construction, it's a strategic move, reflecting a bigger story, often with government foresight behind it.
Precisely. And that raises a question for you listening right now. What does this global shift mean for how you track economic trends?
Yeah.
How do you spot these areas of, purposeful development? It's not just about following the money, it's understanding why it's moving there. Recognizing the intention, the strategy behind these big investments, knowing it's not just random growth, but actually strategic development, built on planning, on stability.
And when we talk strategic moves, purposeful growth, the numbers for Kigali really do speak volumes. Let's get into some of that data from the New Times piece because it's pretty interesting stuff. So Rwanda's real estate market overall projected to grow about 3.6% annually between 2025 and 2029. Now, 3.6% might not sound explosive like some booms you see elsewhere, but for a market set to hit over $110 billion by 2029, that points to something remarkably consistent, sustainable.
Exactly. That consistency is what long-term institutional investors really value. It's not that volatile, maybe frothy growth you see in saturated markets. It signals stability.
Right. And then if you zoom into Kigali itself, the rental gains are a really strong sign. Strong demand, market stability. We're talking around 8% for residential, a solid 9.8% for offices, and get this, 12.6% for retail.
Those are strong numbers. They aren't just random figures. They show a healthy, active market. I mean, just for context, typical rental yields in, say, Western Europe and North America, often hovering around 3-5%, sometimes lower.
Wow, yeah.
So Kigali's figures, they signal a really compelling return driven by actual economic activity and population growth.
And it's not just the rental yields. The appreciation numbers, they also tell a story about investor confidence. The article mentions property values in Kigali appreciating up to 50% in just 2 years.
Yeah, 50%. That's significant.
It really is. That kind of appreciation, plus those strong rental yields, it paints a clear picture. A booming high-potential market. But, and this is critical, Shaffy really stresses this, it's not chaotic speculative growth. He calls Kigali's development thoughtful, purposeful. And that seems absolutely key for building investor trust for the long run.
That thoughtful, purposeful approach is what really sets Kigali apart, I think, from other emerging markets that might just have short-term bubbles. When Shaffy says thoughtful, purposeful, he means things like deliberate master planning, a proper land use strategy, streamlined, transparent permitting, a clear vision for infrastructure, transport, utilities that works. All these things create predictability. They reduce risk for investors. They can see the long-term direction, the government commitment. It fosters stability, not just reactive building. It's that kind of forward-thinking governance that builds real confidence, makes it a reliable bet, not just a gamble.
So to make this tangible, let's look at the example the article gives, Brilliant Tower. It sounds like a perfect illustration of the strategic investment happening right now, right in Kigali's central business district. It's not just another building, it feels like a statement.
Definitely. And what jumps out from the description is the quality. 13 floors of grade A space. Now, grade A, for anyone unfamiliar, that means top international standards. Construction quality, design, amenities.
The best of the best.
Pretty much. State-of-the-art systems, efficient layouts, good elevators, security. You need that level to attract global companies, high-value tenants. And the detail about spacious multi-level parking. Sounds basic, but it's actually crucial in modern cities dealing with congestion. Plus, the design focusing on natural light, efficiency, that shows attention to modern needs, sustainability too. Important for corporate tenants these days.
And the location, it couldn't be more strategic, could it? The article says just steps from embassies, banks, government offices, hotels, and malls. For an investor looking at emerging markets, what does that kind of concentration signal? About Kigali's vision, its ambition as a hub. It doesn't feel accidental. It feels like building where influence and connectivity just thrive.
Yeah, the deliberate clustering. It's more than just convenience. It's a huge statement of confidence from the planners, from the government. It signals a serious commitment to creating a magnet for international business, diplomacy, commerce. By putting prime real estate right next to key decision makers, key services, Kigali reduces perceived risk.
Makes sense.
Investors want stability, easy business, access to networks. This hub model simplifies things, boosts collaboration. It basically signals this city is organized, it's forward-looking, and it's actively trying to attract high-value activity. It says serious business happens here.
And Shaffy's analysis adds another layer here, which I found really insightful. It's about who is buying into Brilliant Tower. He points out floors have already been sold not to speculators looking for a quick profit. No, these are institutions known for careful, long-term investment. That feels like a massive signal.
Absolutely massive. That distinction is critical. Speculators, they chase short-term price jumps, often add volatility. Institutional investors, they do deep homework. They need strong governance. They want stable, predictable returns over years, decades even.
Right. They're in it for the long haul.
Exactly. Their willingness to commit capital. It shows a real belief in Kigali's sustained growth, its regulatory stability, the fundamental strength of the market. That kind of investment builds a healthier, more resilient market. It underlines the city's genuine appeal for serious patient capital. It really speaks volumes about the transparency and foresight in Kigali's development.
And that ties perfectly back to Malik Shaffy's wisdom, doesn't it? Where he says, the best investments often happen quietly. They're not about hype, they're about strategy. Kigali, with its orderly development, the rising skyline, these impressive numbers, appreciation, yield, growth, it really seems to embody that strategic approach. The numbers are telling a story of, well, thoughtful progress.
Indeed. It hammers home his point.
Yeah.
For those paying attention, the signals are there. It's about spotting genuine, sustained growth versus just speculative buzz. When you look at Kigali, you see policy, infrastructure, development vision all lining up deliberately. That creates a predictable, attractive environment for investment. It's not about flashy headlines. It's about consistent execution on a long-term plan. And that offers a kind of roadmap, really, for spotting opportunities everywhere, not just real estate, where a strategy trumps hype.
So wrapping this up, what does this all mean for you listening? We've talked about the big shift in African real estate. We've unpacked Kigali's really compelling data, looked at a concrete example like Brilliant Tower. How does understanding this kind of specific strategic development maybe change your view of emerging markets, or even just how you think about growth and development anywhere? What new questions pop up for you?
And that leads us to a final thought, kind of a challenge, building on Shaffy's core message. He says, when people ask where the opportunity is, he talks about moves, not hype. So the question for you is In whatever field you're interested in tech, environment, social change, maybe your own career, what are the quiet moves happening now? The ones that are truly strategic, truly future focused, not just making noise. What signals, maybe beneath the surface, should you be paying attention to see where genuine long-term value is actually being built?
That's a really powerful way to frame it, because knowing where to look and what those quiet signals mean, that's how you get truly well informed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.